One day, Mark decided to quickly finish off his previous day's task before heading out to work. He was replying to his emails when another email popped up on his screen. So he clicked on it to read it. In that moment, Mark froze, and he sat there staring at his computer screen in complete confusion. Mark was a sales rep, and he loved his job because he considered himself good at it, but most importantly because the pay was great. The more deals he landed, the bigger his bonuses would be, and Mark was a big spender who wanted a lavish lifestyle. But a few months into his job, Mark realized that it wasn't as easy as he had thought it would be, and becoming a successful salesperson required a lot of hard work and commitment. Although Mark wanted to become successful, he was often procrastinating on important tasks and distracting himself by watching TV, chatting on social media, or going out with friends. Mark lived in the moment, and because of this, he was poor at planning, saving, and setting goals. So he would delay, making important but difficult calls, put off client meetings to the last moment, and sometimes when he met with a client, he was barely prepared. One day, Mark decided to quickly finish off his previous day's task before heading out to work. He was replying to his emails when another email popped up on his screen. So he clicked on it to read it. In that moment, Mark froze, and he sat there staring at his computer screen in complete confusion. A new management had taken over the firm, and some of the employees were being laid off, including Mark. And although he could get another sales job, he'd have to start building his client portfolio all over again. Not knowing what to do, Mark decided to call Brad. He was the one person Mark could rely on for advice. Mark and Brad met in university and had remained good friends over the years. Even though they had different approaches to life, they both wanted to be very successful. But while Mark was impatient and didn't like to commit to long-term goals that often means sacrificing his present comfort, Brad was a meticulous planner who believed in due process and that with patience and effort, he could achieve his dreams. Later that day, Mark met with his friend Brad to tell him about what he was going through. Brad listened to Mark and then suggested that he should simply find another job. Mark already knew that was obvious, but he didn't like the fact that he would have to start all over again. Later that evening, Mark decided to start searching for and applying to jobs. Halfway into it, he stopped. There was nothing matching what he was looking for. It was either the pay was too low or Mark wasn't qualified for the position. He was discouraged. Before going to bed, Mark decided to spend some time on social media, and that was when something caught his attention. It was a new business opportunity that promised massive returns in just a few months. At first, Mark was skeptical, but he decided to send an email to the address indicating his interest. Immediately, he received a response with a number to reach the business owner. Mark called the number, and after speaking to the man who owned the business, he was convinced. Mark had a small savings, so he planned to invest it into the business. The following day, Mark asked Brad to meet him for coffee, and Mark told Brad about the opportunity. Brad didn't like the idea because he had never heard about it, and no business could make such a huge profit in such a short time. So he advised his friend not to invest in it. But again, Mark didn't agree with his friend's advice, so he decided to give it a try. Mark invested in the business with a little bit of the money to test it out, and just as he expected, Mark received double his investment by the end of the month. Excited, Mark called his friend to give him the good news. Brad was happy for his friend, but that didn't change his mind about the business. Mark was excited, and he knew that he wanted to go all in, but he had limited funds. He could invest money that he had, but he had an idea about how to maximize his profits. Mark took a short-term loan from the bank and invested all the money in his newfound business opportunity. He relaxed, expecting to double his money, and he was even planning on how he would spend the money. Perhaps he would get a big house, he thought. But he was wrong. Mark never heard from the businessman again. He sent several emails, but there was no reply. He called the number he was given, but no one answered. Now he was in real trouble, because not only did he not have any money, but he also had debt. Mark became depressed. He didn't leave his house for days and spent most of his time in bed or watching TV. One day, Mark got a call from Brad. He asked him about how things were going and if he wanted to catch up for a chat. Mark opened up to his friend about what happened. It was just as he said. The business was a scam. And worse still, Mark told his friend he had taken a loan from the bank. Brad advised his friend to take a job so that he could pay off his debts, and although Mark didn't like the idea, he had no choice. Mark didn't want to consider one of the sales jobs because he'd have to start all over again, building a client portfolio, and that meant a lot of hard work. So he picked up a temporary factory job and worked night shifts. Mark was focused on making just enough to pay off his loan, and then he would find another business that could make him quick money. It was a hard job that took most of his energy, and by the time Mark got home, he was already tired. He knew that it wouldn't be an easy job, but he needed to pay the bills, so he kept on working for some time. In the meantime, Brad was consistent with his efforts and he kept working towards his goals. Brad had a financial background, so he worked as a data analyst. He didn't mind taking one step at a time and building a solid foundation for his future. As the company was growing, they needed more senior staff, and because of Brad's efforts, he was promoted to a manager's position. After work, Brad always found time to exercise and read some books to improve his mindset. And while there was no instant reward, he felt good about making little steps in the right direction. One day, Mark received a call from his friend, saying he had just proposed to his girlfriend and they would be getting married soon. Although Mark was happy for his friend, he felt he was stuck in life, and this made him very desperate. This triggered an instant urge for Mark to look for ways to make more money and become wealthy and successful. As he was looking for some new opportunities, he came across the option to invest in the stock market. Mark had no knowledge of how to trade stocks, so he took an online crash course on trading. After a month of practicing with a demo account, Mark thought he was ready. However, things didn't turn out as he thought, and within a week of trading, Mark had lost all the money that he had. Once again, Mark's attempt to succeed failed and taught him an important lesson. As he was sitting in the living room, he remembered conversations with Brad, and now he could see the results. While Brad was taking little steps forward, he had accomplished way more than Mark had. He then remembered that some time ago, Brad was talking about the concept of marginal gains. How little good decisions each day may have no immediate impact, and neither do the bad ones. But over time, these decisions add up, and they either make you better or worse than you were. Mark thought about it for a while. Instead of working hard and growing his wealth gradually, he had been looking for quick shortcuts. This was the day that Mark made a decision to change his approach to his life. That day, Mark decided to work on another sales job, but this time he was going to work hard and make himself invaluable. Mark took online classes and he also started reading books to boost his skills as a sales rep. It was a long process, but Mark was committed and his friend kept him accountable. Because he was putting in consistent effort to improve himself, Mark's sales record was soaring and his client base grew accordingly. In the end, he realized that consistent progress is made by taking one step at a time. It was about making that one extra call, reading that one extra page in the book, and believing that results will come.